Hello, so this video is continuing on to the sixth primary basis, the 3 pi marker. So, explained before about the 3 partial racks, and it is represented by 3 pi. 3 pi equals to 9.4248777 but it's not rounded up. It is at the end would be 76, and there is a reason for that because this is to connect both 5776 to 5777 in the Jewish of the Jewish year, and 2016 is a perfect combination of those 2 years because it would be changing from 5776 to 5777. So this is referring to 3 partial racks is related to the year 2016, and 3 pi starts with the number 9, and so the number 9 is very important, and it's hinting that it's very possibly that's gonna start in the month of September because of the number 9. And I know that there are a lot of ways to see the number 9. It could be seen as Kislev or month 9 from Rosh Hashanah, for example, but the reason that it's September to November because throughout the series of videos I'm be explaining about the importance of September to November, and it's gonna be lots of confirmations to this. So why would 3 pi is referring to 3 partial racks? Because there will be 9 types of judgments in 3 places, including California, New York City, and Israel, and it starts with the number 9. And so, and also with number 3, and so first of all, the number 424, it is referring to Genesis chapter 4 verse 24. It says that if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. So this is actually referring to the number 711 because 7 times 11 is 77. So so there is the song chapter 23 verse 4 analysis of 2015. I'm then gonna explain why 2015 was referring to Psalm 23 verse 4. First of all, I'm going to talk about the scriptural results of that analysis, and it was pointing to Genesis chapter 4 and Genesis chapter 11 verse 4 versus verse 7. So first of all, to the song 23 verse 4 was actually referring to 3 places. It was pointing to Australia, it was pointing to Norway, it was based on Israel. So that's why it's very important to base in Israel, and so therefore it was pointing to 2 places. It was pointing to 4 o'clock and 11 o'clock direction. And so this was Norway, and it was pointing at 11 direction from Israel. And this is Australia, where it was pointing to 4 o'clock from Israel, and that's why we could generate the result of Genesis chapter 11 verse 4 and 7, because pointing to 4 o'clock is also the number 7 through July at the same direction. So here it says that, and they said, "Go to, let us build us a city and tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." And verse 7 says, "Go to, let us go down, and there confound language, that they may not understand one another's speech." And it's very interesting to see both verses are kind of interacting with each other, because one of that says, "Let's reach to heaven," and the other one says, "Let us go down." So it's kind of like a contrast of that, and I don't think that's accidental. So anyway, the number 711 carries a huge significance to the time of Tishrei, as Israel is the gauge. So when we see number 7, instead of seeing as July, we should be seeing as Tishrei, because Israel is always the mission that we should be taking on, and so that's why it's saying that during the time Tishrei and or Tammuz would be associated with the time the cosmic event and the 6 days of darkness that is coming upon the world. And Tilo will explain about that further as to that, but if we notice both years of 2015 and 2016, during the time November consists of Tishrei. In both 2015 and 2016, and makes up the number 711, and not every year got Tishrei in November. If you're gonna search in 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 17, until 2020, etc., that during time of November, Tishrei is not always in the month of November. That makes up the number 711, but it's very interesting that not only 2016 consists of Tishrei in November, that makes up the number 711, but also in 2015 because of the first new moon delay, and therefore Tishrei was able to push from September to October, from that time to October to November. So it's very interesting to see that both years are connected through the number 711. And so the reason that 2015 was playing out Psalm 23 verse 4 because once again we play with identical dates of the month, because back in February 20th, 2015, March 20th, 2015, and April 22nd of 2015, all of them happened on 20th, and you can see that 9 plus 11 is also the number 20, and so from February, March, and April, that makes up the number 2, 3, and 4. And the first event was a severe snowstorm in Israel. The second was an eclipse partially shown to Norway, representing the cosmic event where it is the home of the Northern Lights. The third was Australia, that was hit with severe storm, which left parts of New South Wales without lights for 3 total days, representing the 3 days of worldwide darkness. So that's why when we based on the clock and from the world map behind, we could see that the world events are actually a clue as to the timing of the cosmic event and days of darkness that's coming. in relation to 4 o'clock direction. And and also he also generated the Genesis chapter 7 verse 11 as well, because it was pointing at 4 and 11, but also at the same time as 7-11. And this verse talked about that the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up and the windows of heaven were opened. Talked about it's talking about the worldwide judgment, and it's kind of echoing to the sixth seal, because the sixth seal event's gonna be in a worldwide scale of an earthquake that's going to be so severe that every island and mountain will be moved. And also here it says in the second month, the 17th day of the month. And so the worldwide judgment is also related to the second month. So November is also the second month originally, and counting from Rosh Hashanah. And the 17th day, it could also be seen as the time of salvation, because there is also decoding of alphabet, but also there's also decoding of colors. And it's interesting that the color red is decoded as 1 and 7, and red symbolizes blood, and blood is about salvation. And so also that when we go into Exodus chapter 20 verse 15 to 16, it's actually resembling the years of 2015, 2016. It's interesting that in Ten Commandments that we could only see it lasts until verse 17 as 20 colon 17. So that 2015, 2016 are really major years. And also definitely a year of great change, possibly. And so verse 15 is about stealing, and verse 16 is about lying. So there are the 8 commandments and the 9 commandments. And so once again, it's referring to number 9 is very important as September, and number 8 is important as August. And August is the reference for September and November at the same time. And the 9th commandment is not to lie, but truth. So in the dictionary, the word truth is synonymous to the word gospel. So this pointing as though it's the time September is the month of salvation, and we're and also with the 7th commandment, it's also about marriage, and that's also connected around this time. And so anyway, moving forward in chapter 4 verse 11, says, and now art thou cursed from the earth. And once again, the word earth kind of resembles earthquakes. And chapter 2 verse 7 talks about breath of life. And so once again, the around the time of 3 days of worldwide darkness is gonna be barley harvest as well. And so it's interesting to see that that the results from Psalm 23 verse 4, the scriptures relate to that. Quite makes sense actually. And also with chapter 4 verse 2 talks about the keepership, and so that's kind of hinting about Passover, and that's why it's confirming to you. So the Passover boundary of April 22nd to 30th applying to time November. And also in Genesis chapter 7 verse 2, it talks about a clean beasts are to be taken by 7, and unclean beasts are to be taken by 2. So this is number 27, which is echoing to Euler's number as well, because it starts with 2.7. And so once again, when we're seeing the time to Mars, which is matching the time the cosmic event, so it's kind of like confirming September, because September consists of Tammuz and Tisri at the same time. There are like 4 versions of that, so the range is pretty wide, but since 3 pi is the number 9, so we can make sure that 4 and 7 are to be connected for the number 9. And it's important to see that pointing to Tammuz is both Australia and New Zealand. And Australia is the most multicultural country representing the world. So Australia had, like in New South Wales, had like in parts of that place, had 3 days of their darkness. So that's representing the 3 days of worldwide darkness that's coming, but it's also pointing to New Zealand at the same time, and it is an island. So an island is representing separation, division, and I believe possibly about judgment between the sheep and the goats, and it's a time division. And so the name Lamech means to make low. As mentioned in chapter 4 verse 24, and at a 9/11 attack there was the code 12-21, because the first World Trade Center was hit, and then the second one, but then the second one fell first before the first one, and that was creating the number 1221. The meaning of 1221 basically means that those who exalt themselves shall be humbled, and those who humble themselves shall be exalted. And this is the meaning behind the number 1221. And 1221 is very important, and 9/11 is related to the fall because Genesis 3 also mentioned the number 1221, like not exactly mentioning of the 1221, but it was decoded as 1221 because Eve was talked to from God first before Eve after the fall, but then Eve was judged first before Adam, and Adam is represented by the number 1 because he was the first formed, and Eve was the second formed, so she was representing the number 2. So so there's gonna be a judgment that's coming, and so and also Genesis chapter 5 verse 31 with the 777, it talks about 777 with another Lamech, and there were 2 Lamechs, and so he lived for 777 years. And ironically, back in 2015, the Eastern Pentecost was in the 31st of May. It's kind of like connecting with Pentecost with the number 777. The number 777 is also decoded as the 3 crosses of the crucifixion because the cross looks like a T, right? And actually the letter T equals to 7 according to the alphabetical system, and so the number 777 is related to the crucifixion, and the crucifixion is symbolizing the transformation of bride. So since there are 2 Lamechs, I'm counting the generation Lamech, one of that landed on to number 6, the 6th descendant of Cain, and the other one, the 8th descendant of Seth. Number 6 is 8 again, we see that again. So that's 9/11, that's decoded as 9/11 as explained before. So that's why the 3 pi is very pretty much related to number 9/11 attack. And so here we see that by Hebrews reading backward is number 7. So now it's kind of matching back to the number 68 because Israel is now 68 years. If we calculate that, 68 years counting back to 1948, and so that's matching Lamech's code 68, and so that's why 2016 is a very important year related to 3 Pearl shipwrecks and 9/11 attack. And just as 2016 is also going back to 2001. So when we go back to the clock, here the clock, so 2016 here, backward quadrant is 1 o'clock at 2013. But at the same time, at 1 o'clock is also 2001. well, if you count it as 13, 12, 2011, 2010, 2009, 2008, 2007, 2006, 2005, 2004, 2003, 2002, and 2001. That's pointing to 1 o'clock, and that's at 2013 direction at the same time. And so it's in the same family of 4 o'clock at 2016. So this is confirming that 9/11 is very much related to year of 2016. And so I'm going to stop here. It's getting pretty long, but I'm going to continue in another video.